the global economy, of course, developed. Trade patterns and the level of development of our partners also changed, also evolved. So we had a discussion within the European Union at one of the, not one, but in several recent reviews of this system, how to make it more efficient, how to make it happen that the least developed economies, which find it very difficult to place anything on the European market, can be assisted in a more efficient way. Then the conclusion was that we should not provide this unilateral benefit to everybody, that we should limit the number of countries benefiting from this assistance. And that it should be focused on those least developed. Therefore, we have to find a criterion under which this decision would be taken. Of course, you know, any criterion that you take to judge or categorize countries will always be challenged that they are not objective, that they don't take certain arguments into consideration. But nevertheless, you have to find one. So we decided to find something that is neutral and reflects the overall level of development. So that's why we took as a criterion the World Bank classification of global economies and countries. You know, they are classified as low income, medium, upper medium, and high. So we decided that the countries which, so you know, Macau is part of China, also most of South American countries, Argentina, Uruguay, Brazil, Venezuela, so all the countries which are categorized by the World Bank as middle or higher income were excluded from the system. As a result, now we have roughly about 80 countries, 89 I think, benefiting from the system. So these are the least developed economies where we apply a system called everything by arms, but arms, which means that everything they export except arms, you know, has preferences in accessing the European market. And another group of countries are countries which have bilateral, that include also trade as part of it. So they continue to benefit from those preferences. Within the category of countries which are still benefiting of the GSP system, there is also a subcategory of countries which we assess as those who implemented certain internal reforms related to good governance, related to overall development, labor law, and so on. And they benefit additionally from some more preferences under the so-called GSP Plus system. But overall, so the number has been significantly reduced. What I also have to say that even for countries who still benefit from GSP, it doesn't mean that the system is applied forever and for the whole economy. Bahraini export that came to Europe under the GSP preferences system, the changes in tariffs will have a limited impact on overall trade relationships. Our estimates and figures and predictions say that they can affect only about 10% of the volume of export. I mean, as a result of the change, as a result of being deprived of preferences, it may affect your exports if no other of those factors are taken into consideration, to up to 10%. But we also believe that there are ways to mitigate it domestically, to mitigate it within the economy, especially the one which is considered as a high-income economy. easily, and these changes should not be really very difficult to adjust to. To give you examples, what kind of changes in terms of tariffs really happened in terms of related to Bahraini exports. The bulk of Bahraini exports to Europe, of course, are just several categories of goods. One, and this is also the case of other GCC countries, are mineral products. In case of Bahrain, this is 62% of all Bahraini exports under preference until December last year. So the change in tariff here is from 0 to 1.9%. The second category is base metals except for iron and steel, which is of course aluminium. So it's 31% of Bahraini preferential exports until December last year. So the change here is from 1.9 until 4.7. The change is one thing, but it's also needing additional unilateral preference, the same that we accord to the least developed countries to access the European market. And I'm sure that the Bahraini EU trade relations will continue even after this change, and that soon we'll be able to conclude FTA, where your exports will enjoy much, of course, broader preferences than those accorded under GSP. Thank you very much for your attention. Now I'm open on your questions.
I would like to thank His Excellency the Ambassador for the informative presentation, and we will leave the floor for the participants who would like to raise questions or even comments.
First of all, I'd like to thank you for a very informative presentation. My name is Huda, I'm a board member from Bahrain Business Society and director of a Belgian chocolate company. So of course, signing such treaty is high of my interest. In fact, part of my aspiration for the election is to sign this treaty. And I did some investigation to know the reason behind. I know there was a talk even before having the paper as formal in 2004, the talk was since 2000 for signing such treaty between Bahrain and the European Union. And based on my investigation, I found out that the problem is not between Bahrain and the European Union as such, because we don't have any hesitation towards the European Union and say not towards Bahrain. But I believe one of the reasons for not signing this treaty is that Saudi Arabia, they have some hesitation with some terms and conditions which they haven't come to finalization with this treaty. And for this moment, unfortunately, this treaty has not been signed. What do you think? Can Bahrain, for example, I think we cannot sign this treaty as sole in Bahrain.
I will try to answer. First of all, thank you very much for your comment and for raising the issues which, as you may imagine, we have not been aware of. So I would just, in order to start to look at the issue, we need to really receive detailed information. If you could send it by writing to the email, please, and my card, or my colleague card, then we will address it. But it may also be related to the way how customs practice is applied across different countries here in the region. But in order to answer, we need to look into the details. I cannot answer, of course, now, but I can promise you that we will double check, and we will also raise it and check with colleagues in Europe and Brussels, and we will get back to you. But please send us a detailed description of the problem, because if you import nuts and it shows alcohol, of course it's something that needs to be addressed. And as you may imagine, importing alcohol or exporting alcohol from Europe to the GCC is a very sensitive issue anyway. I will really be grateful, and we will see what we can do on our side. And if the problem is not on our side, we will also inform you, and we will try to approach our partners, in Bahrain, and to look where is the real problem.
My name is Balal Marti from National Oil and Gas Authority. Thank you, Excellency, for your affirmative presentation regarding the exporting to the European Union. I just want to inquire about the impost taxes on the heavy taxes on oil and gas sector, especially on the petrochemical products, where you imposed 175% on ammonia, methanol, and urea, plus 3.7% export duties on the export duties of oil. So I just want to know, and I just want to understand more regarding this, since I don't know, maybe I didn't follow up with you, the reasons behind such heavy impost tax, especially that I think it will make it a little bit, a little bit harder on both economies, since the oil and gas is a very important sector for both economies, the EU and GCC, especially Bahrain too. Thank you.
Of course, you know that the taxes is something different from customs. And the taxes can always and totally, of course, have different meaning and different. There are different reasons behind imposing taxes than anything related to customs tariffs. In terms of tariffs, the change is not that big. For example, for ammonia, it's from 2 to 5.5%. The taxes, but the duties, sorry, customs duties. But the taxes, I can only answer in a general way. It's always related to two things. One is related to, of course, you always try to develop and enhance and protect your economic interests. This is one thing. And the second thing is always, you need to provide revenues to the budget. In the European Union as general, of course, taxes play totally different role than the GCC.
On the other hand, although are important from different countries, but Bahrain is one of the best investment location, and particularly to European companies. That's why we are having RMA stationing in Bahrain and producing here at the BILB. We are having BASF, we are having Kraft Foods, which is Mondelez now, and you name the rest. So they are producing from Bahrain, and they can export to other countries, including EU, after signing the treaty. So they will benefit on the other hand. Just one more comment with regard to the FTA. I've been listening to this blame game since a long time, and I was 3 years back. I was in Brussels and in the EU headquarters, critically, and they were raising the same points with regards to the political decisions, suspending the negotiation. And I've been hearing from our people here as well. The governmental bodies that they blame the other party because of adding the terms and getting involved in some issues where they don't have to get involved. And honestly, to me, in order to accelerate this process, get the private sector involved. We, the private sector, we don't put barriers. We find solutions. And we are not involved in this particular negotiation, and that's one of the main problems I would see. The chambers, or the umbrellas of the private sector is supposed to be involved, and you'll see that will accelerate that. On the other hand, we have a good examples. We have signed the FTA with the United States, and we didn't take a long time, right? So you need to visit that example and see why, or taking a long time and negotiating. So politics, that's what I'm saying. So we have good examples. So it means the reason is not here. I would say the reason they have a party. Sorry for that. We have a good example of the United States, but we need to visit that. Thank you very much. Any other remarks, or shall we end the session? Then thank you very much. I would like to thank His Excellency, Mrs. colleague, and thank you very much for participating. Thanks a lot.